Welcome to the show, everyone, and welcome to a special Wednesday edition of This Week from Rockdale. So, we are going to have several special editions moving forward. We've got a lot of candidates that want to come on the show and they want to put their platform out there. They want to tell you why they're running for office. They want to introduce themselves to you. And I totally understand it because I'm running for office and I use this platform to do the very same thing for myself. And I'll do that shamelessly. I will use this platform to let you guys know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So, uh, any candidate that asks, I allow to come on. That's been the policy of this program since it was under the other banner of This Week in Rockdale. And Alex and I used to do this show together. So and it's a policy that I've continued. Any candidate that asks will be allowed to come on the show and do an interview and talk about what they want to talk about because that's the American way. I believe in the freedom of speech and the freedom of press and candidates' right to actually have their message out there. So we've got a special guest tonight. We got Kai Oden, who's running for clerk of state and Supreme Court. So we will bring Kai on now and tell her hello. Hey Kai, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good. Thank you for having me, Larry.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, Kai, everybody is under the weather a little bit, and her throat is a little sore, and she's been doing some hot water and tea and stuff. When we came on to do our little spot, that's one of the reasons I really didn't do a pre-show with her because I think she was going to struggle to get through the show. So I was going to let her save her voice just to get through the show tonight because I didn't want to put you through a pre-show, guys. You know what I mean? Because I've understand I do a lot of talking and I get that myself. So what
Thank
I'm
you.
going to do now is I'm going to let you introduce yourself, tell the people who you are, what you're running for, and why they should vote for you. So the floor is yours.
Absolutely.
The floor is yours, Guy.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you, Larry. My name is Kari Oden, and I am running for Rockdale County Clerk of Superior and State Court. Why am I running? I've always had a vested interest, Larry, in my community. And my career path in executive leadership has always been something that I've worked to achieve within my career coming out of college. And so being able to run for the Clerk of Superior State Court gives me the opportunity to continue to grow within leadership. I'm not new to the leadership arena. However, this gives me the next step in my journey or my career path to be in an executive position where I can lead people, which is something that I love to do, but also being able to work in the clerk's office where I have the judicial experience, 14 years of court experience, and I'm able to take that experience that I've gained over the years and put that within the clerk's office, but also being able to serve. As a clerk, you have a responsibility to serve your constituents, not just in the courthouse on a day to day basis, but being able to serve in the community with civic and community engagement. So being able to kind of intertwine those things with my experience, my desire to go up in executive leadership, which I've been in executive leadership, I still am in the executive leadership role, but also being able to serve and to bring my experience within the judicial system. Those are some of the reasons that I am running for clerk of Superior State Court.
Gotcha. I get that. So and I'm going to just so I see you got in parentheses. It's Kari.
Yes,
That's how
yes,
you pronounce it, Kari. My bad.
yes.
So
No,
my
you're
bad.
fine. I wanted to put that because I know when I introduce myself a lot and I say Cardi, people look like there's no R, there's no E. So I made sure I put it just in case
Yeah, Kari.
somebody.
Okay, I got you now. So I see that now. I say, okay, Kari. So I got it. So let's go ahead and let's. A lot of people don't know what the clerk does, right? So let me ask this question, right? So what are the prime job duties of the clerk of courts? What is the primary job function of the clerk of courts?
The primary responsibility of the clerk, number one, is to maintain and secure and preserve the court records and the land records of Rockdale County in the courthouse. That's the number one responsibility that you are responsible. You have a obligation to safeguard all of those records. and safeguard the integrity of those records. So that is your vital and primary responsibility.
Okay, so can I ask you? So we have a clerk. Why? What do you feel you'll do differently or bring differently to the clerk's office than the current clerk we have now?
I feel like number one, I will bring a wealth of knowledge of experience and understanding the court system. In order to obtain such a position, it is important, Larry, that you bring a certain level of experience in the court sector. The thing is, you have to understand the court filings, you have to understand the different functions, because as the clerk of court, you are the backbone to the court system. You set the foundation. You store those records, which are the lifeblood of our community. And so, being able to be in this position and what stands me apart is number one, as I stated, my wealth of knowledge and experience in the judicial court system, but also my leadership experience within the judicial court system. And B, being able to bring in effective and efficient leadership, which brings about a different level of professionalism that is required to maintain and hold such a position, such as the clerk of superior and state court.
Now, so you say you've got experience at the court system. So you've worked at the courts before.
Yes, my career, I have over 10 years in state government where I worked with the Department of Juvenile Justice, where I oversaw one of the largest court service juvenile offices in Georgia, in Gwinnett County. I also had the opportunity to work as the previous chief deputy clerk for the current clerk at the clerk of superior and state courts.
So now, how long did you work here? So that was in Rockdale County. So
Yes,
and
sir.
you said you worked in Gwinnett County
Correct.
in the
Yes.
juvenile. So and then
Correct.
how long did you work in Gwinnett for the juvenile court system?
I worked with Department of Juvenile Justice for a little over 10 years.
10 years for the
10
Department of
years.
Juvenile Justice,
Correct.
and that was in Gwinnett County. And then you worked here in Rock. Now, how long did you work here in
I
Rockdale?
worked in Rockdale a little around 9 months. I worked at the clerk of court's office.
Okay, so and you left both positions. Did you leave that position to go to another job, and then did you get another job?
I left my previous position. I left the state to work with the clerk. Yes.
Okay, and you work for the sheriff now, right?
I currently work at the sheriff's office where I oversee and manage a $29.2 million budget for the sheriff's office.
Okay, so did you go from the clerk's office to work for the sheriff?
No, I did not. I took a pause due to some unfortunate situations that took place. And I went through a major reconstruction foot surgery. So I had to take some time off to heal, get through that process. And I'm still actually recovering from that 2 years almost later from a foot surgery.
Yeah, I think I
But
saw you limping the other day with that.
yes, yes, yes. So that's been a long journey for me, going through that process. But I did not go right back to work going through that process, and then I went over to work with the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office.
Now, at the clerk's office, let me know because I know with technology now, are we doing a lot of how much paper are we keeping versus how much digital? And do you guys digitize? And then if we need to get a paper copy, you guys print it. I mean, how does that become? I mean, paper that could be a lot of paper with everything that's going on. Do we utilize digital storage and cloud and everything now, or do you guys keep everything in paper? For so many years, do you keep paper before it goes digital, or how does that work?
Yes, so you have what you call like a retention schedule where certain documents, some things you cannot destroy when you're talking about a lot of the court documents, but there is always a retention schedule to destroy certain records. You are responsible for maintaining and securing those files. At the clerk's office here in Rockdale County, unless things have changed, Larry, since I've last was there is a storage facility where you store those records off site. You also store. But because technology is very vital to the clerk's office and moving and modernizing the clerk's office, there are database and software in place to focus on digitizing, such as your real estate division. There was records that were digitized in the real estate division prior to me not being at the clerk's office. So there are some enhancements with digitizing to remove some of the paper, but there are also things that you are required to still print and provide to constituents that come in. But that is a cost. When you come in, you have to pay for those things.
You got to pay for copies. So,
Yes.
so, so I'm gonna. This is a two-part question. Okay.
Okay.
So, what processes and procedures do you think that's in place now at the court, at the clerks that you would keep in place? Then, second part, what policies or procedures or things that are at the court would you change? What would you keep in place, and what would you change?
What I would probably keep in place is, of course, the digitizing and how you efficiently digitize your records, but making it more accessible. With the constant changes in technology, it is important that you stay up to date, but you also understand the needs of your constituents. And when I say that, you still have, we have a generation that is not as technology savvy. So you do have to find a way to still kind of keep some things, as I would say, old school, but not too old school, where we're just so outdated, Larry. But being able to keep keep up with the trends that are changing and evolving day to day when it comes to technology. So, what I would keep in place is some of the digitizing that is taking place as it relates to the responsibilities of the clerk's office through the mandates of the clerk authority, which is the mandator at the state level. What I would change as far as policies and procedures, that is something that I would need to go back honestly and kind of look at to see what they have in place. As far as you can't change retention, that is mandated at the state level. So that is not something that the clerk can come in
So,
and
so that's actually a question by one of our viewers. He just asked, who sets the detention, the retention
so
policy?
that comes through a different department at the state level who mandates your retention schedule, not the clerk of court.
Now, is that through the Attorney General's office or is it through the Supreme Court
I that I'm not
or
sure.
the Court of
I know the
Appeals or whatever?
department is like the retention um, archives of state of Georgia is the area that controls and mandates the retention schedule.
Gotcha. So, and he asked also had another good question here. I think he
Okay.
said so. He wanted to know are the current issues in the clerk's office, what are the current issues that threaten the security integrity of the documents?
Oh, the some of the outdated software and technology still. And with that, it's again, that's why it's so important to constantly evolve in your technology. And that means you have to be able to be innovative, get out here and see the different technology softwares that are available. Currently, the clerk's office, they utilize Tyler Technology, which is an Odyssey software that the Superior Court and the state court use to do the case filing, keep up with your fines and your fees that go in and out. Um, but again, it's for me, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to really find ways to connect with other clerk's offices that are bigger, that have maybe different technology systems in place to kind of help Rockdale County advance a little bit more in our technology. With Tyler Technology, which is the current contractual software that the clerk of course use, a lot of other uh, counties are using Tyler technology, but it is a matter of how often are you updating the software? How often are we looking at other avenues to make sure that we, of course, safeguard, have the integrity of those records, but we're also making it as modernized as possible to be in compliance, but continue to move the clerk of court's office forward.
Right. Well, so John here wants to know a little bit about the budget also. He had asked,
Okay.
with respect to the clerk's budget, he wants to know what can be cut, reduced to save taxpayers and achieve efficiencies. And also, I think the taxpayers would like to know what is the clerk's budget?
Okay. Well, the clerk's budget is between 2.3 and 2.5 million dollars, Larry. Majority of that is your personnel and benefits, which is your salaries, your workers' comp, all of your benefits. Then you also break down to your operating budget, which is what the day-to-day operations use at the clerk's office, whether the purchase of supplies, your education and training, as well as um, travel expenses. Those things fall under your operating expenses. So to be honest with you, 2.3 to 2.5 million dollar budget is really not a lot of money. And working within that budget when you're talking about salaries for your clerks that are dedicated to that office, to this county, it is hard to really cut the budget. And one of the other things that I want the citizens to understand, when you talk about a budget that small, such as the clerk of courts budget, the clerk is responsible for being the gatekeeper to the technology contract that includes your magistrate court, your probate court, if I'm not mistaken, your of course your superior and state court, your sheriff's office shares a piece of that, and so with all of these judicial pieces to the entire technology budget, you're talking about at least a almost, if not $500,000 budget that is added into the clerk's budget. So that 2.3 to 2.5 million dollar budget really is 500,000 of that at least is not even really the clerk's budget. So I hope that kind of gave
Yeah.
the
So
citizens some insight to that.
what is the so with that being said, what is the staff size? How many employees is a normal employee range at the clerk's office? And is everybody that works there defined as a deputy clerk under the clerk?
Everyone is not defined as a deputy clerk, but majority of your staff is deputy clerks. You have about an office of 30 to 32 employees. That is not including the clerk of court. That includes your chief deputy. That includes a court office manager. That also includes, Larry, a senior accounting person, which is like your manager, an assistant court accountant that falls under the senior court. You have two IT employees because you manage a IT division because of your Tyler Technologies contract. And then you fall into your, there is also, I think, currently a legal administrator slash PIO, if I'm not mistaken, that the clerk has. And then you fall into your deputy clerk positions. You have what you call your deputy three, which is your manager, your superior court manager. And then you have a deputy two, which is your larger personnel, because that's pretty like your mid-level employee. And then you have your entry level, which is your deputy clerk one position.
So I was going to ask another question about those employees. So you've got, oh, I know what I was going to ask. Like the you say you got a sheriff's deputy in there. Now, is the salary of that deputy covered by the sheriff's office, or is it a shared salary?
No, you don't have a sheriff's deputy in there. I'm sorry if I did say that. I didn't mean to say that.
Okay.
But they're called, they're just deputies that are sworn in. You call the deputy clerks. It's the
Okay.
it's the
Okay. I
terminology. I'm
misunderstood.
sorry when I said deputy. Deputy clerks is the terminology in the job description for a clerk of courts clerk in her office, he or she's office.
Gotcha. So you would say you got over 30 employees.
You have at least 30, yes,
Okay.
correct. At least
And,
30.
and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the clerk's office also handles passports.
Absolutely.
So could you explain a little bit of what that's about and how that process works?
Yes, so with your passports, which is always a conversation, the clerk collects passport applications and processing fees that come in and out of the courthouse on a daily basis. With that, which I'm glad you asked me that, because one of the key functions, Larry, to the clerks, there are five priorities for me. Financial management, because you're responsible for the collection and disbursement of fines and fees. Out of my top five, one of them is also change management, which deals with your legislative laws. And the reason that I am bringing that up to relate to this question is because with the passports, the clerk is responsible for the processing fees, which is about $35. That is funds that the clerk is able to keep for self. Also, you have an obligation or should to also be creative with the money and find other creative ways to give back to the community. What just happened at the state level, for those that don't know, Senate Bill 19 was just passed. It is still in the phases of being signed by the governor to be in effect, I want to say on July 1st. With that, Larry, it is now the clerk of Superior Court's responsibility to report all processing of applications and processing fees that are obtained not only by your clerk of Superior and State Court, but your probate court judge. So that will go into effect around July 1st. So that means moving forward, any money that you collect, you are now responsible for a written report and showing what you've attained, what you've kept, and what you've given back to the community.
Do you know approximately how many passports are processed a year through? And you can also do that at the post office too, right?
Correct. You can. You can also do it at the post office. Yes.
Okay, but do you know how many, what the annual number on average a year would be that are processed?
I can't quote you the number. I can quote you maybe approximate amount of money. That's not going to be all. I'm not. I
Well,
can
I
give
wasn't
you an
even wanting to know
estimate.
money. I was just wanting to know, do you know on an average, like how many weekly or, what would be a monthly average of people who come there to process?
I don't know how many weekly or average. I do know there is a significant amount of passports that are processed, but I can get you that information.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, I just was wondering, man. I didn't know how. To me, I didn't know how many people, you know, I because I had a passport back in 2010. It ran out in 2020, and I didn't renew it. So I just didn't. What I mean, I was thinking about renewing it again sometime because my wife and my me we may want to go on a trip somewhere or whatever, right? So I don't know, but
Yeah, yeah. So it is pretty high volume because the post office is an option, but um, a lot of people, the post office is pretty secure, but the clerk's office seems to receive a very large amount of those applications. I don't know if people maybe feel more comfortable coming in the courthouse with that. I'm not sure, but there is a high volume of passports that are processed as well as your renewals
well, I
that
mean,
are
I got
processed.
mine. I did mine at the post office, and I'll tell you, it was a bit hectic.
And it's a lot easier at your clerk's office. So the process is a lot easier. The staff that oversee that at the Rockdale Clerk of Court's office, there's a team of two ladies. They've always been proficient, even when I was there, even when I recently got my son's passport. So it makes it a lot easier for people to say, I would prefer to go into the clerk's office and, process my application and my renewals.
Okay, cool. Well, Kai, I think people have learned everything they can about the clerk's office, and it's a lot of paperwork. What it comes down to, it's a lot of paperwork, and
It is.
and
It
and and, and
is.
it's and it's and it's and it's and it's important paperwork because it's all legal documentation. So I
Absolutely.
so I get that. So what I want to do now is I want to give you an opportunity to make a closing statement. Plead your
Okay.
case. Tell people, again, who you are, why you're here, and what you want.
Yes. First, I would like to say thank you, Larry, for the opportunity to be on the platform tonight, this evening. Why Kari is the candidate and the best choice. It is time for change in Rockdale County. And I say that with an invested interest in my community. I am that young millennial that went off to school, Larry, came back to my community to not only live, work, and play here, but to thrive as a citizen and potentially my career path. And I stand before my community prepared and ready to take on such a position to bring a wealth of knowledge and experience that the citizens and the judicial circuit deserve, because it is nothing like having someone that can provide you with the knowledge and the understanding of the roles and responsibilities of the clerk office, but also being able to serve your community, being engaged with your community, because an informed community is an engaged community. And as the next clerk of Superior State Court, I would do just that. It's easy to talk, but it's important to have actions to your words. And so I stand before you guys today, or sit, I should say, because I'm sitting down, and just ask you to go to my website, odenforclerk.com. Look at my information and my experience, my platform. This is about excellence in customer service. This is about ongoing enhancements in technology. This is about effective and efficient leadership, Larry. This is also about impactful community and governmental partnerships. And lastly, this is about restoring the public's trust. The public has stopped believing in elected officials. They have stopped having hope in the political process and the things that are going on. And when you talk about rebuilding and fostering your public trust, you're talking about humanity for people so they can understand the perception of the government. You talk about transparency for the people so that they understand and can get the information like I've given today and would have gave a lot more if we had more time today. But also being having the capability to do the job and also the reliability. Those are the things that matter to the community. And it's important that you have someone that can stand on any stage and represent this community. And you say, darn, that girl is good. She represents Rockdale County, and I'm about bridging generational gaps. And what do I mean as I close, Larry, today on that? It is time for change in bridging generational gaps. I am a millennial. I'm a product of Rockdale County High School. I understand what it takes to be in a position of leadership and to lead from the front and back, but to serve the people because I have a passion for people and a heart to serve. And it's important that we move this county forward, Larry, and we have the effective changes that we need that is for the betterment of all people. And I look forward, you guys, to becoming your clerk, the people's clerk. Thank you, and you all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Kari, for coming on the show tonight. Well, you ask, and like I told everybody, I really do. Anybody who asks can come on because I believe in people having the right to come on and tell people who they are. Because be honest, in Rockdale County, it's hard to have a platform.
It
We
is.
don't have it. We don't have the newspaper is what it is. We don't have a local news station. We don't have local radio. So unless you got guys like me that have these shows and podcasts, it's hard for people to get out there and get their message there. So go ahead.
And one last thing is because I know it's getting late. I want the community to understand, and I'm sure you can vouch on this one, Larry. It is time that we are informed as a community. You have to do your research. A lot of people know me for my community advocacy, but they do not know my experience on a professional level and what I bring to the table. And it is so important that we get engaged as a community and we do everything we can to put people in positions, not just elected positions. It's no different than a resume. When you go to a job, we're not just electing. You have to show a resume and show your experience. I am prepared and ready. The only difference that I stand here and say, I'm not the current clerk. So I don't have the certifications that you have to take when you become the clerk. But I have the leadership certifications. I have the experience. And these things are vital, Larry, when you are talking about electing the right people to move departments and agencies forward. And that includes Rockdale County government.
That's a good statement. And it's right. I mean, we've got to have transparency. I mean, John Bowers just makes. I'm going to put John's statement up here. John, I know he's actually referring basically to the county commission right now,
What do you
but
say?
John said this: just the primary disinformation expert in the county are several of the elected officials. Who the hell do you trust?
And,
So
and that's the sad thing. And that's what I hear all the time. And again, when you guys hear me say millennial, I am a millennial. But this is about bridging the generational gaps and unifying our community.
I know John. What John talking about? And I'm going to have your dad on the show Sunday, so he can talk to this too. It's like what John is referring to is we're always told we have to be educated. I'm
Oh,
so we got to be educated to why you're getting screwed and why you should like it. So I mean that's what and we're all really tired of hearing that. I'm going to educate you why I'm doing all this stuff you don't want me to do. And
Mm,
that's I mean that, and the citizens are really tired of that. They really are.
absolutely.
They're tired of hearing that, right? So
That's why I say it's all in your actions. You can talk all day, but it's your actions.
yeah, so I mean, and that's when people are up, but I think as to people I've talked to, and a lot of people that don't know, Kai, if they don't, I'm running for board of education, and my campaign's a change campaign also. We got a school system that's even the majority of the current board deny that they're even a failing school system. And
Mm,
and we do have pockets of excellence in the school system. Those overachieving kids are, they are doing well. But the majority of the school system is not doing well. And you've got a majority of the board that deny it and the superintendent deny it. What's the only way to fix a problem? To acknowledge you have a problem. Because
accountability.
if you hide the problem, you're not going to address the problem because you don't want to admit you have a problem. So we've got to admit we have problems, address them, and come up with uh, uh, uh,
Solutions.
solutive and proactive ways, to correct things, and that's what we're not wanting to do. So but that's what this show. I mean, people who have not seen the show before, that's what this show's about. This show is actually an informative show to let people know what's going on in the community, what's going on in Rockdale County, and we keep it real and we talk about real issues that are going on in the county so that the citizens actually know what's going on. Because you'll have right now people will say from the chair's office and the BOC, they'll say all these folks spreading misinformation. Well, there is a lot of misinformation being spread, but it's being spread from the board office, not from the people. Because we're being told, it's the old Jedi mind trick. You believe what we're saying. There's nothing to look at here. Like these are not the drones you're looking for. You may go by. I mean, it's that same kind of nonsense. I mean, there is something to look at. Things are going on, and they don't want us to look at things. So, but we appreciate the candid, the candid conversation tonight. We appreciate you coming on, sharing your vision. Like I said, and I've got a busy schedule coming up. So tomorrow night, I've got Arlen Gibson coming on, who's running for post one. And then I've got your dad coming on. I got Richard Oden coming on Sunday. And then I think I got Judge Wood coming on the following Wednesday. Then I think maybe it's Corey Hambrick after that. But like I said, I've got a full slate of people coming all the way up through election, and I've got to add weeknights to get everybody in because everybody wants their
Their
turn
time.
to come in and spread their message and let people know what they're about. So yeah, people want to be heard and they want and they want change. So that's what I think this election. Um, I don't. Let me tell you. Okay, everybody in the county knows how dynamic and how the 2012 election was with the slate of eight, right?
Yes.
I think this election will be as impactful and as much of a change election as 2012, because I think because we've not had incumbents be out of office like
Mm,
that. We've not had incumbents defeated since then. Uh, I think maybe one. I think we had the probate judge defeated in
correct.
16, but since then we incumbents have won. Uh, and I think your dad the chair, but he had served several terms, and it's hard to win over 2 terms. I mean, you get into that third term, and it's you know it's hard to win 3 terms. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a change year, and people are going to be excited about. They want change, so we'll see what happens. Well, let
Yeah.
me go ahead and let you off, Kai. I mean,
Thank you.
Kyrie, and then like I said, I'm going to tell the people a little bit about some shows coming up, and then I'm
All
going
right.
to get off and get ready to go to bed because I'm tired. Because I was up till like 10:30 last night at that crazy forum over at JP Carr, so I've not got a chance to recoup from that yet.
Rest. Well,
Yep,
thank you, Larry. You have a wonderful night,
I will.
evening.
Thank you,
All
Kyrie.
right.
Thank you for coming
Bye
on.
bye. Bye bye.
So, guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on the show tonight. Right. So, um, on these shows, I like to just bring people on, let them talk about what they want to do, how they want to do it, and then it's up to you to decide. It's up to you to decide. Are you going to, is that your candidate or what? So, I'm doing my civic duty, bringing people on, letting you have access to them so you can make informed decisions. So tomorrow night, I believe Arlen and I had decided we're going to do a 7 p.m. show because I think Arlen said for him earlier was better. And I'm not going to argue with him because I think I like that idea of a 7 o'clock show too. So we're going to bring Arlen Gibson on, who's running for post one. And I'm going to tell you something. I really love it when Arlen, he's out there campaigning on West Avenue and he'll say, I'm Arlen Gibson and I'm running against Sherry Washington. So, I mean, and he really emphasizes I'm Arlen Gibson and I'm running against Sherry Washington. So guys, it'll be a good show tomorrow night. Joining me back here 7 o'clock tomorrow night, and I think I'll have a few more candidates that are going to want to come on. So we will probably be adding some more daytime, some more weekday shows next week. So stay tuned. Let's see what happens with that. And I tell you all, thanks and good night. And I will see you tomorrow on This Week from Rockdale with Post 1 Commission candidate Arlen Gibson. Thank you and good night.